The story of St Francis Xavier.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Imagine being part of a world where Christianity is just beginning to spread. There are no airplanes, no social media, and the oceans are vast and mysterious. This is the world of St Francis Xavier, one of the most remarkable missionaries in history. His story isn't just about religion. It's about courage, adventure, and changing the world in ways few could imagine. Born in 1506 in the Basque region of Spain, Francis Xavier came from a noble family. But while many might expect him to follow in the footsteps of his wealthy family and pursue a life of comfort and prestige, Francis had other ideas. He was a bright and ambitious young man who studied at the University of Paris, where his life would take a dramatic turn. At the university, Francis met a man named Ignatius of Loyola. Ignatius was a soldier who had turned his life around after a deep spiritual awakening. He founded a new religious order called the Jesuits, and he saw something in Francis that others didn't. Ignatius encouraged Francis to join him in spreading the message of Jesus, but at first, Francis wasn't so sure. One night, after a deep period of prayer and reflection, Francis had a transformative experience. He realized that his life could be dedicated to something greater than his personal ambition. He left his comfortable life behind and chose to follow Ignatius' call, becoming one of the first members of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. But being a Jesuit wasn't just about praying and teaching in Europe. It was about going to the ends of the earth to spread the message of Christ. And so, Francis Xavier's real journey began, a journey that would take him far from home, across vast oceans, and into the hearts of people from cultures he had never imagined. In 1541, Francis was sent to the distant land of India. Imagine, for a moment, how vast the world must have seemed. India was a land full of mystery, with ancient traditions, languages, and religions completely unfamiliar to Francis. But this didn't stop him. Armed with only his faith, Francis arrived on the shores of Goa, a Portuguese colony, with a single mission: to share the teachings of Jesus with as many people as possible. But when he arrived, he found that many people already had their own beliefs and ways of life. It wasn't easy. There were cultural barriers, language differences, and many people didn't understand why he was there. But Francis didn't give up. He learned the local languages, and over time, he built relationships with the people. He didn't force his message onto them. Instead, he found ways to connect with their hearts. Francis also worked to improve the lives of the people he encountered. He cared for the sick, especially those suffering from diseases like leprosy, which was widespread at the time. He became known for his deep compassion and his willingness to serve the most marginalized in society. He didn't just preach words, he lived the message of love and service. But Francis's mission didn't stop in India. In 1549, he set sail for Japan, a land that was even more foreign to him than India. Japan at the time was a country isolated from the rest of the world, with a rich and complex culture all its own. But that didn't stop Francis. His determination to share the message of Jesus led him to travel from port to port, meeting new people, learning new languages, and trying to understand a culture that was very different from his own. What's remarkable is that even though he didn't know Japanese very well, Francis was able to communicate through his actions. He would perform simple acts of kindness, like healing the sick, helping the poor, and showing respect to their traditions. Slowly, the people began to listen, and they were amazed by his genuine love for them. In a short time, Francis had gained some followers and even helped establish the first Christian community in Japan. Sadly, Francis's mission was cut short. After spending several years in Asia, he eventually made his way to China. But before he could fulfill his dream of preaching in China, he fell ill and died on December 3, 1552, at the age of 46. He had spent just over a decade traveling the world, and in that short time, he managed to change the lives of thousands of people. Even though he never saw the full fruits of his labor, St. Francis Xavier's legacy lives on. He was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church in 1622, and today he is remembered as one of the greatest missionaries in history. So, what can we take away from the story of St. Francis Xavier? First and foremost, it's a story about courage. Francis wasn't afraid to step out of his comfort zone and venture into unknown, unfamiliar territories. He didn't know the languages, he didn't understand the cultures, but he had an unwavering belief in the power of love and service to break down barriers. And perhaps most importantly, St. Francis Xavier reminds us that we can make a difference, even in small ways. We may not be called to travel to distant lands or preach to thousands, but we can all contribute to making the world a better place by caring for others, serving with humility, and living with purpose. The story of St. Francis Xavier is a powerful reminder that the path to greatness isn't always about achieving big things for ourselves. Sometimes, the greatest impact comes from the quiet acts of love, compassion, and service we offer to others. Whether we're across the world or just down the street, the spirit of St. Francis's mission can inspire all of us to live with greater kindness, empathy, and faith. And so, his journey continues to inspire not just Christians, but anyone who believes that small acts of love can change the world.